On the day we were supposed to get our marriage certificate, my girlfriend secretly turned off my alarm and drove away. She intentionally made me miss the scheduled time. When I rushed to the civil affairs office in a hurry, I saw her so-called best guy friend wearing the same white shirt as her. He had his arm around her in front of the camera. Their posture was intimate. Both were beaming with bright smiles. When Liu Ryan noticed me standing to the side, she didn't show any guilt at all. Instead, she brazenly blamed me. "It's all your fault for being late. We almost missed our number." Luckily, Chen helped us out. "One just took some wedding photos with him for a memento. You don't mind, right?" "Of course, I don't mind." I smiled as I took off the ring, then turned around and slipped it onto her best friend's finger. The ring that was loose on my hand fit perfectly on his. My smile deepened. It looks even better for the photo this way. Feels more real, doesn't it? Liu Ryan's face suddenly changed. "Lin Tui, what do you think you're doing?" "Nothing much. I stayed up late working last night. Feeling tired. I'll head home first." I turned and started walking away, but Liu Ryan grabbed my sleeve. "Wait! It's almost our turn. Don't worry. Chen just wants a digital copy of the photo. Only the ones of us will go on the certificate." Wei Chen suddenly stepped forward, placing a hand on my shoulder. Apologizing, he said, "Oh man, sorry Yujie. I just thought it was a pity to break up right before the wedding. So I wanted to take a wedding photo for the memories. If I had known it would cause such a disagreement between you two, I wouldn't have come. Tell you what? Once you to finish registering, I'll treat you both to a meal." As he spoke, he even deliberately waved his hand with the ring in front of my face, as if provoking me, then patted my shoulder again. The two of them, one on each side of me, gripping my arms. They were wearing the same white shirts, with matching rings. Even their unconscious actions showed a kind of tacit understanding that comes from spending a long time together. "No need. You to go ahead and eat." I broke free from both of them at the same time, and left under the gaze of the staff, who were clearly watching the drama unfold. Wei Chen scratched his head, and looked innocently at Liu Ryan. "Sister Nod, is Yujie angry? I shouldn't have come. It's all my fault." Liu Ryan's face darkened. She let out a cold snort. "Chen, this isn't your fault. If you want to blame someone, blame Lin Yu for being ungrateful. Forget him. Let's continue." After stepping outside, I hesitated for a moment, then turned on Do Not Disturb mode on my phone. My stomach suddenly growled. I found a place to sit and eat. Thinking back over the past 5 years, all of my arguments with Liu Ryan that almost led to breakups were because of Wei Chen. Within an hour of our dates, she would always be pulled away by a message from Wei Chen. So when I saw them taking intimate wedding photos, it felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. I even let out a breath of relief from the bottom of my heart, a kind of soothing feeling of finally making up my mind and escaping from a stifling environment. I went home, showered, and immediately fell asleep. I slept soundly. In my dream, it felt like a familiar voice was calling my name next to my ear. The next day, I woke up naturally. Liu Ryan was sitting at the dining table, drinking coffee. When she saw me come down, she immediately assumed a haughty posture. "Lin Yu, what's wrong with you? Getting up so late? My suit jacket hasn't been ironed. My skirt and stockings aren't ready. What am I supposed to wear to work?" I looked at her in confusion. "Why don't you just handle it yourself? I didn't plan on preparing anything for you." Liu Ryan got angry. She slammed the coffee cup down heavily, then hit the table with her hand, and glared at me. "What's your problem? Are you really still upset over that tiny thing from yesterday?" "I'm not upset at all. I know you're still mad about yesterday, but I only see Chen as a best friend. Of course, I have to help my best friend. Next time, we'll just make an afternoon appointment. Surely, you won't sleep in that late, right?" "I'm not angry. If you want to help, go ahead and help him. I don't mind at all. You could at least be a bit kinder to Chen. You don't need to explain your relationship with Wei Chen. I understand perfectly. You two grew up as best friends, practically wearing the same pair of pants. I've got something to do. I'm heading out. Let's end this conversation here. I coldly cut her off and walked into the bathroom with my razor. For the first time, I didn't want to hear her defend Wei Chen with that indifferent look on her face. Liu Ryan stood there, stunned. Even when coffee spilled onto her sleeve, she didn't react. My good friend and boss, Peng Longyu, had invited me for lunch. He noticed that the treasured ring I had always been so careful with was missing. A worried look appeared on his face. I quickly responded, I've made up my mind about the 2-year study abroad program, F country, that you recommended. He paused for a moment, swallowing the questions he wanted to ask, and said seriously, Are you really sure? No turning back? I had previously rejected the idea without a second thought because of Liu Ryan. He insisted that I reconsider. I thought with Liu Ryan in my life, I would never change my decision. Now, I'm grateful he gave me another chance to choose again. I won't regret it. I've made up my mind. My life is for me to decide. Peng Longyu smiled and gave me a big thumbs up, expressing full and complete support. Good. I'll help you make the arrangements when you get back. After making up my mind, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was in a good mood the entire day. When I got home, I heard some noise in the living room. I instinctively hid my smile, and my change in expression was immediately caught by Liu Ryan. Her face instantly turned cold. Lin Yu, why is the house still such a mess? Where did you go today if you're not working? I had some errands to run. If you don't like the mess, clean it yourself. Liu Ryan was momentarily stunned. My calmness made her a bit uneasy. Her tone softened almost involuntarily. Are you still upset about yesterday? I only turned off your alarm to let you rest a bit more. I didn't mean to take the wrong car keys. Chen asked me to drop him off. I was in such a hurry that I forgot the keys on the coffee table were yours. I put my things down and said casually, It's more important to take your best friend, right? I understand. I'm not upset. Liu Ryan's temper flared again. She kicked over the floor lamp. Lin, can you speak properly? I've been friends with Chen for years. It's not unreasonable to drop him off for breakfast first, is it? Of course, it's not unreasonable. If you want to take him, I don't mind. Seeing my continued indifference, she completely lost it. Screaming, she kicked over the table. The glass shattered at my feet. Lin Yu, it was just a photo. Is it necessary to keep sulking until now? Suppressing the growing sense of exhaustion, I patiently said, I'm not sulking. Whatever you and Wei Chen do, I really don't care. Liu Ryan became even more agitated. She yelled at me, Lin, are you not understanding? I already told you there's nothing between us. Can you stop being like this? Who are you putting on that face for? My eardrums throbbed in pain from her yelling. Finally, I said impatiently, Are you done? If you're done, I'll go upstairs. Liu Ryan was momentarily silenced by my words. She swallowed her anger, forcing herself to calm down, and mustered a smile. Sorry, you. I got a little worked up earlier. By the way, a new barbecue place just opened in the west of town. Why don't we go try it out together? I glanced at the shards of glass at my feet and politely declined. Sorry, I already ate with some friends on my way back. Go by yourself. Liu Ryan's face turned cold. She violently smashed things around the living room. After venting, she gave me a glare and slammed the door as she left. I sighed. Her temper is getting worse. Liu Ryan didn't come home that night. I had another good sleep. After washing up, I went downstairs. Suddenly, I saw Liu Ryan curled up on the only intact sofa in the living room. There were dark circles under her eyes. She stared at me fixedly. I just came back this morning. Don't you have anything to say? Oh, since you're not working today, it's no big deal. My casual attitude clearly provoked her. She suddenly stood up and violently pushed the sofa over. She said, "Yesterday, I went out drinking and eating skewers with my girlfriends. Before 11, their husbands started calling them to come home. There were 12 of us. But in the end, I was the only one left, foolishly sitting there until the shop closed. Not a single phone call. Not even a text message from you. Are you even human?" I met her gaze calmly. "Didn't you say it yourself? If you're not coming home at night, I shouldn't bother you with calls. I was just giving you your space." Liu Ryan froze. She must have remembered what happened before. "Lin Yu, why do you keep calling me all the time? Aren't you annoyed?" "A date? What date? Let's talk about it next time. I have something urgent now. Don't call me unless it's important." That day, she had promised we could meet for a date after she got off work early. She even sent me her location, asking me to go ahead first. But after work, she went straight to the internet cafe with Wei Chen. I was overjoyed and bought flowers, heading to the agreed spot. I waited until it started raining. I waited until I was completely drenched, and she still didn't show up. I thought something had happened to her. I kept calling her. It took 2 hours before she finally picked up. Listening to the chaotic gaming sounds in the background on her end made my 3 hours of waiting feel utterly ridiculous. However, what greeted me was a barrage of curses. Liu Ryan's last words were, "You're insane," and then she hung up. She didn't come home until dawn. When she got back, she smashed everything in the room. She angrily shouted at me, "It's all your fault for calling me nonstop, making me lose all those games. Otherwise, I would have been back earlier. From now on, when I'm gaming with my best friend, stay as far away from me as possible. Give me some personal space. Don't you dare bother me." As Liu Ryan finished recalling the incident, she was just about to say something, but I no longer cared to listen. "I'm heading out. Take care." I opened the door, without noticing how her hand raised and lowered behind me. A look of loneliness on her face. I started getting busy, working late every night. After work, I would crash at Peng Longyu's place. Liu Ryan tried to reach out to me several times, but I was too busy to even think about it. Naturally, I ignored her. After a while, she stopped contacting me, which suited me just fine. After I finally finished all my work, I remembered that I was supposed to break up with Liu Ryan. Honestly, I should have done it long ago, but I kept forgetting because I was so busy. Just as she crossed my mind, Liu Ryan invited me to Misty Park. It was a place where she often took me on dates before. But every time we started to have a romantic moment, Wei Chen's phone call would interrupt, with all sorts of excuses to call her away. "Sister Nan, you didn't forget about today's basketball game, did you? Yujie is here too. It's fine. I'm sure Yujie won't mind. Sister Nan, everyone's waiting for you. Come quick. Sister Nan, we've already planned to drink, and you're the only one missing. On a date with Yujie? Come on, you can date anytime. Yujie is patient. He'll understand, right?" At first, Liu Ryan would patiently explain things to me. But after it happened so many times, in the end, she would just say, "Ah Chen needs me for something. You go ahead and leave." I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and questioned her. But Liu Ryan looked at me with disdain. The way she looked at me made me feel like a clown. "What's gotten into you? Ah Chen is my best friend. If I had any feelings for him, we'd have been together ages ago. What's your problem? We're adults and you're still acting jealous like a kid. Aren't you embarrassed? Don't be so petty. Can't you be more mature?" After cooling down, Liu Ryan realized she had gone too far. She came to me to apologize. At that time, I was too caught up in love, and I quickly forgave her. But now that I had made up my mind to part ways, there was no turning back. Let's make the best of our final moments together, I thought. With that in mind, I packed my things and went to meet her. She was standing at the entrance waiting for me. I was a bit surprised. This was the first time she arrived earlier than me for a date. We tried out all the rides and activities, no matter what I asked for. Liu Ryan did it with a smile. I couldn't help but think, if a day like this had happened at any other time in the past, I would have been over the moon with excitement, but now I felt nothing inside. On the Ferris wheel, she leaned in trying to kiss me, but I subtly dodged her. She was visibly disappointed for a moment, and softly said, "Ah, you, this is the longest we've gone without speaking since we got together. I've really missed you." Got it. She took a deep breath, forcing out another smile. "Well, you weren't home these past days. I took care of the housework. I've realized how hard you've been working every day to clean the place. I've thought about it. From now on, I'll help out more. You don't need to wake up early every day to iron my clothes. I'll handle that. As for Chen, I'll cut back on contact with him. After all, he's grown up. He doesn't need me looking after him all the time anymore." She looked at me affectionately. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. The Ferris wheel reached the ground. I got up first. "It's getting late. Let's go home." We walked in silence. "By the way," she suddenly broke the quiet. "My friend Ling is getting married and asked me to be her bridesmaid. Why don't you come with me to the wedding?" As she said this, there was a certain longing in her voice. I pondered. In the past, whenever Liu Ryan attended a wedding, she never considered bringing me. She had many friends her age. Over the years, they had been getting married one after another. Every now and then, she would receive wedding invitations. I had asked her several times if she could take me along, but each time she refused. "No, they didn't invite you. Why would you go? If you come, I'll have to introduce you to everyone one by one. Isn't that annoying?" I was a bit stunned. Then why is Wei Chen allowed to go? She became increasingly impatient. Chen has an invitation. He knows all my friends. In fact, he knows them even better than I do. Are you satisfied with that explanation? After saying that, she started the car, ready to leave. Wei Chen comfortably sat in the front passenger seat, from an angle where she couldn't see. He flipped me off. Liu Ryan probably never thought that one day she would be the one to actively ask me to attend her friend's wedding. But by then, I had already decided to break up. There was no need for me to meet her friends anymore. I've been really busy lately. You should go by yourself. Liu Ryan gripped the steering wheel tightly, her expression shifting unpredictably. She suddenly slammed on the brakes. Her voice ice cold. "Fine, Lin Yu. Don't regret this. I've tried everything to make you happy recently. But what about you? You've been sulking the entire time. Lin Yu, let me say it straight. You're not a child anymore. Can you stop being so immature?" She left me on the side of the road, driving away without a second glance, and we stopped contacting each other again until the day of her friend's wedding. We hadn't said a single word to each other. It was a cloudy day. I was packing my luggage when my phone suddenly buzzed. It was a video sent by Wei Chen. The video wasn't long, just over 20 seconds. In the video, Liu Ryan handed the bouquet she had caught to Wei Chen. Her eyes were full of joy as she looked at him. Wei Chen, dressed in a suit, stood close to Liu Ryan, holding the bouquet with both hands. A smile curved his eyebrows as he looked back at her, as if it were his wedding day. And Liu Ryan was the bride. The surrounding noise was filled with cheers and teasing. Another message popped up. "Yu Jie, don't take this the wrong way. Sister Nan said catching the bride's bouquet brings happiness. She only gave it to me to make me happy. There's nothing more to it." I chuckled and replied, "It's fine. I wish you happiness." When I finished packing and opened the door, I was surprised to see Liu Ryan sitting outside, not knowing how long she had been there. I was a bit taken aback. "It's still early. Is the wedding over?" When Liu Ryan saw me, she stood up, swaying slightly. Her face flushed unnaturally. She was obviously drunk. Well, it made sense. Someone as loyal as her, especially with Wei Chen around, she must have helped the bride drink today. Getting drunk was expected. Why aren't you upset? Why don't you get angry? I smiled back at her. What's there to be upset about? Aren't you two just best friends? Liu Ryan froze for a moment. When she looked at me again, her eyes were slightly red. She probably forgot the last time she posted a picture on her social media of Wei Chen kissing her cheek. I angrily pointed at the picture and confronted her. But all I got in return was her cold response. Chen and I were just playing a game and I lost a dare. What are you suspicious about? Lin Yu, your thoughts really disgust me. I don't even remember how I left that day. But ever since that moment, it felt like my love for Liu Ryan had been extinguished. If she had paid attention, she would have noticed that from that day on, I was no longer as enthusiastic about her. Sensing my indifference, Liu Ryan began to panic. Whether it was because she was too drunk or unsteady on her feet, she suddenly collapsed to her knees in front of me, grabbing the hem of my clothes, crying hysterically, I know I was wrong. I won't do it again, I swear. Please forgive me. I'll keep my distance from Ah Chen. I won't cross any more boundaries. You can't trust a word from someone who's drunk. I gently pried her hand off my clothes and said calmly, got it. Go take a shower first. After her shower, Liu Ryan seemed much more sober, but she started frowning again. Where's the hangover tea? You used to always make it for me. Oh, I forgot. Maybe next time, I replied absent-mindedly, focused on my phone, not paying much attention. Liu Ryan froze for a moment. Her disappointment was visible. She wanted to say something more, but suddenly my phone rang. It was the special ringtone she had set for Wei Chen. Without thinking, she hung up the call. But that persistent ringtone kept ringing. Every time she pressed decline, it would ring again. After several attempts, Liu Ryan became both panicked and irritable. I couldn't watch any longer. Just answer it, I said. It might be something important. Liu Ryan hesitated, trying to brush it off. No, it's fine, she started to say. But the ringtone sounded once more. She paused for a moment, then finally picked up the call. Hello, Ah Chen. What's wrong? Her voice instinctively softened, as if responding to years of familiarity. After all, they had over a decade of friendship. I couldn't hear what Wei Chen was saying on the other end, but Liu Ryan's brows furrowed. She looked genuinely concerned. After the call ended, she seemed restless, unable to sit still. She kept glancing at me, but wasn't sure how to bring it up. I spoke calmly. Go ahead. I don't mind. Liu Ryan let out a breath, relieved. But her face still showed discomfort. Her whole demeanor was conflicted. Finally, she stood up. Ah Chen's been hospitalized with alcohol poisoning. I'm really worried. I'm going to check on him. I swear, this will be the last time. I looked at her indifferently. Got it. Liu Ryan changed her clothes and rushed out the door, so hurried that she didn't even change her shoes. I calmly picked up my phone. The screen still showed my plane ticket confirmation. I pressed the button to confirm payment. The next morning, I was about to leave with my suitcase, just as Liu Ryan came home. She looked exhausted, and when she saw me with my suitcase, at first she was in disbelief. Then she immediately became flustered. What are you doing? Where are you going? I was wrong. I really was wrong. I'll change. I swear I'll change. Please, don't leave, okay? She started pulling at my suitcase. I sighed and said, I'm going on a business trip abroad. That's all. Then wait for me to pack up a bit. I'll take you to the airport. Her eyes were full of hope. I thought about bringing up the breakup, but decided not to ruin the last moment, so I agreed. She moved quickly, putting my suitcase in the back. I instinctively opened the rear door, intending to sit in the back. You sit in the front with me. She smiled at me, trying to please. Without thinking, I replied, "No, thanks." Wei Chen would throw a fit if he found out. Wei Chen always considered the front passenger seat of Liu Ryan's car to be his personal spot. Even if it wasn't her car, he still insisted on sitting next to her. At first, I didn't mind. I didn't have my own car back then, so I would just sit in the front whenever he wasn't around. Strangely, he always seemed to find out that someone else had sat in the front, and he'd look all dejected as he told Liu Ryan, "If anyone else sits in the front, it makes me feel like you don't value our friendship at all." Eventually, to ease his mind, even when he wasn't there, Liu Ryan would leave the front seat empty once I casually mentioned it. And Liu Ryan snapped at me. "Chen is still young. Why are you even arguing with him? He just wants some peace of mind. What's the harm in accommodating him a little? It's just the front passenger seat, does not sitting there. Mean you're no longer my boyfriend?" I pulled myself out of my thoughts. Looking at Liu Ryan, who had lowered her stance before me, I sighed and gave in. "All right. There's no need to have an argument on this last day." I got out of the back seat and sat in the front passenger seat. But after getting in, Liu Ryan didn't start the car immediately. She nervously gripped the steering wheel. I've been thinking. From now on, I won't care about Wei Chen's feelings anymore. If you want to sit in the front, just sit. She started to fumble with her words. I interrupted her. "Just drive." I closed my eyes, pretending to sleep, but I could still feel her gaze occasionally turning toward me. It seemed like Liu Ryan really wanted to talk, but I didn't feel like discussing anything with her, so I kept pretending not to notice. In the past, even if there was nothing to say, I would force a conversation just to talk with her. But now, with the exhaustion of consecutive late-night work, I had no interest in chatting with her. We finally arrived at the airport. After handling all the necessary preparations, Liu Ryan followed me around like an assistant, carrying my luggage, helping me check it in, diligently doing everything, just like I used to do for her when she traveled for work. But now, the roles were reversed. There was still an hour left before boarding. Liu Ryan sat next to me. I absent-mindedly scrolled through videos. In my mind, I was calculating how to bring up the breakup to her. If I brought it up suddenly, given her personality and current emotional state, who knows what unpredictable consequences might follow? I was lost in thought. Liu Ryan kept glancing at me from time to time. Finally, she couldn't hold back any longer and spoke. "Are you hungry? Let me get you some snacks for the trip." "No, thanks. I already packed some." "Then are you thirsty? I can go get you some hot water." "Thanks, but I'm not thirsty." Seeing that I had no intention of engaging with her, Liu Ryan stopped trying to make small talk and began speaking about her promises on her own. An hour passed quickly. The boarding announcement echoed through the hall. I made up my mind. I stood up and joined the line, standing at the very end. Liu Ryan stayed right by my side, not leaving for a moment, until I passed through the security gate. I stopped, turned around, and saw a glimmer of hope flash in Liu Ryan's eyes. Under her expectant gaze, I slowly opened my mouth. "Liu Ryan, I've thought about this for a long time. I really appreciate the 5 years you've been with me, but you've caused me more emotional pain than anything else. I admit, I once loved you, but with each time you insulted me for Wei Chen's sake, any love I had for you gradually disappeared. I don't have feelings for you anymore. Let's break up. Also, this is me officially telling you, this isn't a negotiation. Liu Ryan, from this moment on, we'll never see each other again." Right in front of her, I blocked and deleted all her contact information, then posted the pre-written update to my social media. and sent out a mass message to inform our family and friends. After finishing all that, I turned off my phone and decisively turned away. Feeling an overwhelming sense of relief, Liu Ryan froze in place after hearing about the breakup. It took her a while to process it. She went from despair to madness. She rushed forward in a frenzy, trying to grab onto me, but was quickly stopped by security personnel. She struggled desperately, her face twisted in rage, screaming, "Lin Yu, I don't agree to break up. How can you just leave like this? Come back to me. Let go of me. Lin Yu, you'll see. I'll come find you. You're tied to me for life. I won't let you go." Her voice echoed behind me, filled with threats, but I wasn't worried at all, because I knew she wouldn't get the chance. The moment the airplane door closed, I heard someone shout from the crowd, "Ah, she's hitting people. I'm calling the police. I think she's mentally unstable. I demand a mental health check." Soon after, I heard the wail of police sirens. The plane to F country soared into the sky. After landing, I turned on my phone to find 99 plus messages flooding in, all of them asking what had happened between me and Liu Ryan. Only Wei Chen's message stood out from the rest. "Yu Jie, so you finally broke up with Sister Non. I told you from the start. You two weren't a good match, right?" I laughed and replied, "Yes, we really weren't a good match. I think you and her are a better fit. I wish you to all the best." After sending that, I blocked and deleted him as well. Without the entanglement of Liu Ryan and Wei Chen, I felt much lighter even in my steps. The person picking me up was a blonde, blue-eyed foreign woman. She was 2 years older than me. After greeting me, she briefly introduced herself. That's when I realized she was the mentor Peng Longyu had arranged for me, Ginny. Ginny's fluent Chinese impressed me. After exchanging contact information, Ginny took me to the dormitory arranged by the company. It was in the building next to hers, and close to the training location as well. After unpacking my luggage, I finally started replying to my family and friends, responding to everyone one by one. My parents had always been open-minded. Though they had many reservations about Liu Ryan before, they still welcomed her with smiles because I liked her. Now that I had initiated the breakup, they wasted no time returning the dowry Liu Ryan's family had given. They even refused the bride price, cutting ties completely. My mom even cooked a feast and sent me a video to celebrate. "Hey, you're overseas now and can't eat this. So your dad, your brother, and I will eat it for you." I always said Liu Ryan looked gloomy and off. She wasn't a good one for you. You finally saw her for who she really is. I'm so happy for you, but I better stop talking or I won't get any of the food. "Hey, leave me a bite, you rascal." Watching my parents being their playful selves, and my brother still stuffing his face even after being smacked, I laughed, but tears started rolling down my cheeks. I'm so glad I got out in time. I'm so grateful I have a family that loves me. Life is good. The 2-year training program had officially begun. With my professional knowledge, I earned the respect of the team. They were amazed by the work I produced and tailored the perfect learning plan for me. Ginny was witty and humorous. As a renowned designer in the field, she could always pinpoint the flaws in my work and give me clear directions for improvement. She didn't just tell me how to fix things. Instead, she gave me ideas. Every time, it was like a light bulb went off, and I would refine my work till the final piece reached a level that garnered the attention of thousands. During this period, I followed the training plan, busy yet fulfilled. I had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, and feeling the joy of progress again was something I couldn't help but enjoy. 3 months passed like this. I had fully adapted to the rhythm of life. I never expected that after all this time, I would still hear news about Liu Ryan and Wei Chen. It was Peng Longyu who called to tell me, "Ah, I've got some interesting news for you. Oh, what is it? I was reviewing some new retro-style project materials Ginny had sent me. So I wasn't really paying much attention to what Peng Longyu was saying. But what he said next piqued my interest. Your ex-girlfriend, Liu Ryan. She was diagnosed with a history of mental illness a month ago. And now it's relapsed. It's terrifying. How could she hide it so well? And judging by her parents' reaction, it's clear they knew all along. After it was exposed, they couldn't cover it up anymore. They've sent her to a mental hospital. I had only found out about Liu Ryan's mental health history a few days before we broke up. That day, I was at home packing my things, planning to get rid of items I couldn't take with me. I must have accidentally hit a switch or something, because a box suddenly fell out. Logically, I should have pretended not to see this secretive-looking thing and put it back. But curiosity got the better of me, and I picked it up. The box had a password lock. I tried entering her birthday. No luck! Then I tried my own birthday. Still didn't work. After thinking it over, I remembered that Liu Ryan placed great importance on the anniversary of the day we first met. It was one of the few moments even Wei Chen couldn't overshadow. One of our rare sweet memories. So I tried entering that date. And sure enough, it opened. Inside was a notebook. And beneath the notebook were a few old, yellowed medical reports. There was also a bottle of unlabeled medication. I hesitated for a long time, but eventually I opened the notebook. The more I read, the more terrified I became. It was filled with shocking entries written in what looked like red, blood-stained handwriting. The last page stopped on the day we first met. This page was written with a black ink pen, just 6 short words. The handwriting was neat and normal. Found it. The calming object. For a moment, my legs went weak. I shakily turned to the rest of the medical reports. They were all about Liu Ryan's medical condition and detailed her episodes. On the last page, I saw the address of the clinic where she had been treated. I decided to find time to check it out. Following the address, I arrived at the location. It was a small, obscure clinic. There weren't many patients inside, but they were all people whose families didn't want to send them to a proper mental hospital. I introduced myself as Liu Ryan's boyfriend of 5 years and directly asked the psychologist about her condition. The doctor raised an eyebrow in surprise. So you're the one who helped improve her condition? Then he slowly explained everything. Through the psychologist's account, I learned for the first time that Liu Ryan had suffered from severe bipolar disorder since childhood. Even the slightest inconvenience would drive her into a frenzy. But Wei Chen's presence had somewhat improved her situation. At least as long as Wei Chen was around, she could act like a normal person. But that was just treating the symptoms, not the root cause. Liu Ryan's bipolar disorder would still flare up from time to time. The psychologist had suggested she find something or someone that could calm her down just by thinking about it. And somehow, she fixated on me as that person. Wei Chen was one of the few people who knew about Liu Ryan's mental illness, but he was completely infatuated with her and refused to tell anyone. No wonder he never cared about my relationship with Liu Ryan. To him, I was just a tool to help treat her condition. He believed he would ultimately be the one to end up with her. When he saw that Liu Ryan hadn't had any episodes while with me, he assumed she was cured. That's when he started interfering in my relationship with her. But after he got involved, Liu Ryan's behavior became more erratic. She'd lose her temper and smash things over the smallest issues. Thinking back on everything, a chill ran down my spine. It all felt more horrifying the more I thought about it. It only solidified my decision to break up with her, which led to the scene at the airport. My thoughts came back to the present. Peng Longyu was still talking. Originally, it wasn't a big deal, but you know Liu Ryan's so-called best guy friend, Wei Chen, right? He volunteered to take care of her. And in the end, Liu Ryan, during one of her episodes, beat him into a vegetative state. He's still lying in the hospital now. I heard that when Liu Ryan was beating him, she kept muttering, "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, you wouldn't have left. It's all because of you. I'll beat you to death." TSK TSK. What a scene that must have been. I heard later that Liu Ryan ran away. She hijacked a car and even stabbed the driver, causing multiple traffic accidents. But she didn't make it far. She was caught at a toll booth. Her actions caused widespread panic. And since she's a mental patient, she ended up being sentenced to life in prison. She'd be locked up forever. Well, people who pose a danger to society should face consequences. Exactly. Mental illness shouldn't be an excuse for a free pass. After chatting for a bit longer, we ended the call. The way things turned out for Liu Ryan and Wei Chen was something I never anticipated. But I guess it's karma. Epilogue. 2 years later, I returned to my country after completing my studies. I quickly rose to prominence as a rising star in the domestic design industry. At 28, I became one of the youngest renowned designers in the country, with both fame and fortune. Ginny, who had followed me back to China, invited me out. "Sir, may I have the pleasure of dining with you tonight?" I smiled and politely declined. "Sorry, I already have plans for tonight." Ginny dramatically acted out her disappointment, reciting a sorrowful poem right there on the spot. I couldn't help but laugh, and gave her a chance. "I'm free tomorrow night. I hope Miss Ginny will make time then." Ginny smiled and agreed, even giving herself a little cheer. As I walked out of the office building, one saw Peng Longyu leaning against his car, waving at me. We exchanged a knowing smile. The end. Yes,